Fine Arts a few years ago was really hearing from our alumni saying, we are actively doing work in the field of arts administration without having the formal training, because as working artists, we are expected to write our own grants, do community engaged work, think about how the arts are impacting various aspects of what we have to do to sustain ourselves as artists. And so in response to that, the College of Fine Arts conducted some surveys with our alumni and got a really good pulse on what they were interested in learning, what were some key skill sets they wanted to develop. And our dean, Matthew Sheftel, said, let's make this happen at the graduate level. And so I was tasked with developing a program, and we wanted the program to be distinct, and we wanted to really harness the existing interdisciplinary power within the College of Fine Arts. And so the curriculum quickly became centered around how could we create a program that trained artist administrators. So instead of artists having to pause their artistic work and go back to school for arts administration or arts management, we said, what would it look like if we did that in tandem? So our students actually take core arts administration classes, and then they choose an area of specialization, of which there are 5. So they are taking arts administration classes alongside discipline-specific management coursework, where they still remain fully immersed in their art. The program, the genesis of the program, we also wanted a 1 calendar year program. So although quite intense in a year, students could finish it in a year. And then we wanted a really clear distinction for our degree. And so our degree is a Master of Arts Administration, an MAA, which is the first designation of that kind in the country. So it's not an MA degree, but it is an MAA degree and solely housed, as I said, in the College of Fine Arts.
Just like the kind of study and practice that goes into making and creating art, that same sort of study and practice needs to go into the administration, resourcing, marketing, and producing of the art. When I started in the arts and culture sector, I was first interested in being a performing artist. And because of a number of circumstances, I found myself on the arts administrative side. Like so many of my peers, we didn't necessarily know how to go about doing this work. There wasn't a pool of folks that we could look to, and there certainly wasn't an academic institution like Ohio University that could provide us with the resources and the theory of how we would endeavor to do this work. So it's been wonderful to see over the past couple of years how this area around arts administration has really taken fold. And by being placed in academic institutions like Ohio University, it creates a lot of really wonderful opportunities for interdisciplinary study. How do we think about arts and culture across urban planning, engineering, public health? And I'm really excited as we go into the future to think about all of the different ways in which this work will intersect and only help to build and strengthen the field.
The single most important thing that I want my students to learn is the difference between leadership and management. Leadership is a very shiny word, and we think about it a lot, and it's used a lot in what we read. However, the field also needs excellent managers. So managing, as we tend to think about it, is how you implement and how you make decisions on a day-to-day basis in an organization. Leaders are the influencers in that organization. Leadership needs to understand good management, and management needs to understand good leaders. And I want my students to go out into the field and to be able to recognize good leadership, good management, and poor management.
In a period of time, really the entire arts and culture sector of reassessing what we've done, how we've done things, why we've done things, who's told us that was the right way or the singular way to do things. And we are in a period of time where we must question not only those previous narratives, but we need to work much more collaboratively and forcefully in thinking about how we shape the narrative moving forward. What are the roles that our arts and cultural organizations and institutions are going to play in the social fabric of who we are as a country, as a field of practice? What are the ways that arts organizations and institutions are going to better position our work with artists? How are we going to honor their work? How are we going to honor the spaces in which those works happen? How are we going to be much more clear about the priority of the communities that we serve and ensuring who has a voice in our organizations from the very top? How are we rethinking as a field who are going to be the executive directors, the artistic directors providing the vision for the kind of art and the kind of work we want to produce? Who is dealing with issues of accessibility and accountability and affordability? Who is on our boards moving forward, and how do we reconsider the makeup of that to be the arts organizations and institutions of the future? And so I think that there's such important work being done, not only that needs to address the social justice movements that are happening, but also the simultaneous budgetary crises that are happening as a result of the pandemic. So these multifaceted, urgent pressures will no longer allow us to be comfortable with the way things used to be, and will no longer allow us to have a clear sense of the trajectory of where we're going. So I think this degree, I don't think anybody can pretend to know the answers. The answers are not simple, and they are most certainly not singularly dimensional. They are multifaceted, they are very complex, and they must honor each organization and institution and where they are in acknowledging their past and where they want to go. And so I think that this current cohort of MAA students and those in the next 5 to 10 years are really going to have to grapple with, how do we create an arts and culture sector that better represents where the field needs to go to be more sustainable, more inclusive. Those are really pressing issues for them.